The sound of rain mixed with the faint sobs of a little boy echoed through the narrow alley behind a small-town diner. His toy truck, broken in half, lay in a puddle. His small hands trembled as he tried to fit the pieces together, tears blending with the rain on his cheeks. His mother, a frail woman in her 30s, held her side, bruised and shaking. "It's okay, baby," she whispered, even though it wasn't. Her name was Linda, and her 7-year-old son, Timmy, had just watched 2 men from the local factory shove her to the ground for daring to speak up. Earlier that day, Linda had gone to the factory to ask why her paycheck had been cut again. She worked double shifts just to feed Timmy, but the factory owner, Mr. Grayson, didn't care. "You people should be grateful you even have jobs," one of his foremen had sneered before slapping her hand away. When Timmy stepped forward, clutching his small toy truck, one of them kicked it out of his hand and laughed. "Go cry somewhere else, brat," the man had said before pushing Linda to the ground. Timmy cried all the way home, clutching the broken truck, not because it was just a toy, but because it was the last thing his late father had given him before he died in a motorcycle crash years ago. It was the only memory he had left of his dad, a man who once rode with a group of bikers called the Iron Guardians, men who believed in protecting the weak and standing up for what's right. That night, Linda tucked Timmy into bed and tried to smile through her tears. "We'll fix your toy tomorrow, sweetheart." But Timmy couldn't sleep. He picked up the phone from the living room table, an old number his father once scribbled on a piece of paper, and called. The line rang for a long time before a deep voice answered. "Yeah?" Timmy's small voice trembled. "My name's Timmy Johnson. My dad was Billy Johnson. He used to ride with you guys. They broke my toy and hit my mom." Silence filled the line. Then the man's voice softened. "Where are you, kid?" The next morning, the rumble of engines rolled through the small town like a thunderstorm. Windows shook. Dogs barked. And people peeked through their curtains to see a dozen bikers, leather jackets, chrome shining in the sunlight, roaring down Main Street. Leading them was a man with a gray beard and a look that could cut steel. It was Reaper, Billy's old best friend and the president of the Iron Guardians. They stopped outside Linda's rundown apartment building. The bikers dismounted, and Reaper knelt before Timmy, who stood on the porch holding his broken toy. "Your dad was a good man," Reaper said quietly. "No one hurts a Guardian's family." He placed his heavy hand on Timmy's shoulder, then turned to his crew. "Mount up. We're paying that factory a visit." When the bikers arrived at the factory, workers froze. The foreman who had hit Linda stepped back, eyes wide with fear. Reaper killed his engine, dismounted, and walked straight up to the man. "You hit a woman in front of her kid?" he asked, his voice low but deadly calm. "We don't do that in our world." The man tried to talk, but Reaper's glare shut him up. The factory owner, Mr. Grayson, came out, puffed up and angry. "You can't come here and threaten my men," he shouted. Reaper turned to him slowly. "You run this place?" "Yes," and, before he could finish, Reaper cut him off. "Then you're going to make it right. Full pay for every worker you've cheated, starting with Linda Johnson." Grayson laughed nervously. "Or what? You'll beat me up?" Reaper leaned closer, his voice quiet but cold. "No. But everyone in this town will know who you are, a coward who hits women and steals from honest workers. You think you're untouchable, but I've seen people like you fall faster than a Harley on black ice." The factory workers, who had been watching from the sidelines, started murmuring. One man stepped forward. "He's right. We're tired of this." Another joined. "You've been underpaying us for years." Within minutes, the entire workforce was standing behind Reaper and his crew. Grayson looked around, his power crumbling before his eyes. He knew he had no choice. By the end of the day, Linda was reinstated with full pay, her medical expenses covered, and an apology written and signed by Grayson himself. When she returned home that evening, she found a brand new toy truck sitting on the porch next to Timmy's old one, this one shiny and red, with "Iron Guardians" engraved on the side. Reaper and the bikers stood there, smiling. "Your dad would be proud of you, kid," Reaper said. "You did what he always taught us, you stood up for what's right." Timmy hugged him tightly, tears in his eyes. "Thank you for helping my mom." As the sun set behind them, the bikers revved their engines once more. The sound filled the air, not of fear this time, but of justice. They rode off toward the horizon, leaving behind a mother and son who would never forget that kindness, courage, and love still existed in a world that often forgot what those words meant. Before disappearing down the road, Reaper looked back one last time and raised 2 fingers in the air, the same way Billy used to. Timmy smiled and waved, holding his repaired toy truck against his chest. And that night, as the stars began to glow, a little boy whispered into the darkness, "Dad, they came for us." Moral: sometimes, standing up for what's right takes more than strength, it takes heart. And even when the world seems unfair, there are always people out there who still care enough to make things right.